So, Death of the Author. It's a pretty complicated school of thought, but I'm gonna try and explain it in as little detail as possible, what it means to me specifically, and then I'm gonna go over how it translates into the modern world, and what I think about people using it to justify certain authors that I shall not name at this point in the video, but will do later. So, Death of the Author is the school of thought that an author's interpretation of their work is completely meaningless. Once their work is out in the world, their interpretation holds no more power than the reader's. In fact, the reader's interpretation is far more important because it's your own personal interpretation of the text. So to give an example, in terms of a modern author, jkrowling, or Rowling, however you want to pronounce her name, loves to mess around with this concept and decide to try and fuck with it. So what she likes to do is she likes to, after her books have been written and they've already been put out into the world, people have read them, people have formed their own thoughts and opinions on the characters, the setting, whatever. She decides to come out by saying certain characters are a certain way and treating it like she is the god of that universe. That's all that matters. You should take her word for it. It doesn't matter how you interpreted it before. That's what she wants you to believe. But Death of the Author contests this point because J.K. Rowling herself is human. She's fallible. She's multifaceted. She has her own biases and her own prejudices, as I'm sure you know, that will affect how she wants people to interpret her text. So even though she might say that a character is not transgender, in her Twitter bio, in her Twitter posts, it doesn't mean anything. If you interpreted that character as transgender, then they are to you. She shouldn't be able to take that away just because she created them. That's not how it works. Like, language isn't born from the writer, it's born from the reader. And the interpretation shouldn't be born from the writer. So anyway, that's what I personally think about Death of the Author, is that I personally subscribe to it. I think that you should read a text without having any thought to the author whatsoever. You shouldn't think they exist, but you shouldn't think about their background, and you shouldn't think about why they wrote what they wrote, or what message they were trying to send. You should be more concerned with what message it gives to you personally. Because once that author finishes it and sends it out into the real world, it's not theirs anymore. It's the public's. But in terms of modernity, and like modern times, I feel like there's a big issue arising with Death of the Author as a concept. And that issue is that people decide that they want to cry out Death of the Author in order to continue reading and continue supporting an author who is very much alive and is using the money that they make from their writing creations to spread problematic messages. And these people don't necessarily agree with this person, but they're saying, oh, Death of the Author, I'm not reading it with her in mind. And in this sense, I think it's really messed up. Because given that we live in a capitalist society, we can't really do this. Like, if we lived in a different society, it'd be all well and good to still read her books and not be a transphobe, because she wouldn't profit off it, because profit wouldn't be a thing. But given that it does, and it is, she does and it is, you can't really do that. That's not the way it works. If you want to stop people having these negative opinions about trans people, or in any form of book, or in any form of book, or any form of prejudiced author, if you want anyone to have not have a negative opinion of trans people, gay people, black people, or any other minority group, you can't really support the author when they're alive. You can't really buy their stuff once it's become out. So with me personally, I'm never buying a Harry Potter thing ever again. Some people would say wait until she's dead, and perfectly fine to think that. But me personally, I don't ever want to think about it because under the it was written by someone with such strong moral views that I go against. Like, granted, my interpretation of the books is more valid than hers, so if I say a character is trans, a character is trans. She can't say no to that. But in terms of people who say, oh, separate the art from the artist, in terms of Death of the Author thing, that's I see that as incredibly problematic because she's going to continue to use that money. If she keeps getting funding, she's going to keep using that money to spread this negative message. And all, same with all authors or writers or creators that are like this. You you decide on the trajectory of you decide on like the trajectory of your country and the world politically based on how you spend your money and who you support. So you can't really go, oh yeah, I'm reading this separate to her. You especially can't do it with with the book that she's planning on writing that her agent has also agreed to, which is about I don't remember what exactly it's about, but I know that trans people are misplaced to be the villains. You can't say you're not transphobic and then but go and buy that because with that money and with that book, if that ends up becoming its own fucking genre, it's gonna and because publishers go, oh yeah, this sold a lot of copies. Maybe we should get other authors to write stuff like this. It's gonna cause a really lasting and damaging impact that will set us back fucking decades. It's not what I want, and I'm sure it's not what you want either. So it seems kind of like I'm telling you not to read jkrowling stuff anymore, but at the end of the day, it's up to you. So anyway, this isn't so much of an indie opinions episode, to be honest. It's more of an indie rant, but just a, it's more of a self-published author just ranting at you not to support shitty people because it's bad enough that I feel like I need to say this. But yeah, I'm gonna have the original Death of the Author in the description below. So if you want to read it and get your own interpretation of what it means, if you think I'm wrong, by all means correct me. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Right on.